CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with an appeal from the Red Cross for more aid after Hurricane Melissa pummeled the Caribbean. CTV's Abigail Beeman has more on the path of destruction left behind and a death toll that's expected to rise.
This family fights tears surveying the damage to their home in coastal Black River.
If we had stayed, we'd have died.
And at the same time feels fortunate.
And thank God I can find a bed to sleep on. So even though they are soaking wet, but we can lean them up with the water can and drain out. If we even sit up, we will manage. We will manage.
Hurricane Melissa has killed dozens and caused massive destruction across Jamaica, Haiti, and Cuba.
Today, our government is providing $7 million in humanitarian assistance.
That promise from Ottawa breaks down to $5 million for humanitarian partners providing aid such as sanitation and clean water, and $2 million for the World Food Program distributing food and relief. The government says Canada hasn't received any requests for military or personnel help, but stands ready.
We're standing with the Caribbean today, and we'll be here tomorrow to help rebuild stronger, safer, and more resilient.
We think this is going to be a little worse than what the initial reports are looking like.
The group Global Medic has portable water purification units and family emergency kits on the way to Jamaica, offering drone service as well. Rahul Singh says being on an island poses additional challenges.
There's less infrastructure and less capacity for folks to go to. And then with the flooding, and then the flooding sitting there, you've got to get rid of that water.
Tonight, Hurricane Melissa batters on towards Bermuda, downgraded to a still very powerful Category 2 storm. At this point, it's forecast to be a post-tropical storm as it passes Canada's east coast early Saturday morning. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Half a world away, many families across Windsor, Essex, and Chatham-Kent are waiting for word their loved ones are okay. CTV's Michelle Molesky hears directly from two local mothers.
I know our girls were nervous. They were having a lot of hesitations about going.
But with no travel advisories in place, Kylie McCrae and Aislinn Kell left with their husband and boyfriend on October 23rd for Montego Bay, Jamaica.
After they landed in Jamaica, that's when the Canadian government came out with travel advisories. So they were stuck.
When the moms couldn't get any return flights, they told their kids to go into prep mode.
They started stockpiling food and water on Saturday.
Actually, they started Friday night because I told them, you get every water bottle.
Then the storm hit.
I've lived through smaller hurricanes, but I also lived in Texas, so I have knowledge. I said, you're going to go through the first wall. And then it's going to get really, really quiet and really calm. Do not come out. No matter what you do, do not come out. Because when it comes back, it's going to come back in reverse.
And communication was cut off. The moms went nearly 3 full days, not knowing if their kids were safe.
I've been awake because I didn't want to miss a phone call. I didn't want to miss a text. And what if it's a text and I didn't wake up because the text is all she could get through? So I just kept staying awake.
The call came Thursday. Word they are safe, but now facing a steep bill to stay that way.
The hotel came this morning and knocked on the door and told them you have to pay $250 US per person to continue to stay.
Their kids are hunkered down at the resort and hoping their scheduled flight does in fact leave on Saturday, bound for Toronto.
I might just drive up just so I can hug my kid before a 3.5, 4-hour drive home.
Yeah.
Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
Meantime, in Essex County, farmers collecting money to help their work family.
One guy, Andre here, his house is flooded. He's lost his roof. So it's like, you know, anything that we can do to help them is greatly appreciated.
Brad Raymond of Raymond's Berries is raising money to help the 9 Jamaican migrant workers who work at his cotton farm. Some have been coming here for more than a decade. Raymond says they're more than employees. They are part of the family as they've traveled to Jamaica to see where they live in the off-season. Here in Canada, Raymond is collecting donations at their farm market on County Road 14, and within less than 12 hours, they've already raised more than $4,000. He says it is difficult to be on the opposite side of the crisis, trying to get his workers back home to Jamaica.
I've had to tell them twice that flights have been canceled. Like, we're just trying to get them home. They want to be home with their families. And we work with CanAg Travel, and they're working hard and keeping us updated.
In other news, the Ford government has passed a controversial bill that bans municipalities from using speed cameras. Bill 56, called the Building a More Competitive Economy Act, was introduced earlier this month and fast-tracked through the legislature, passing this afternoon by a vote of 69 to 41. Premier Doug Ford had repeatedly called speed cameras a cash grab, saying his government will instead focus on speed bumps, roundabouts, and better signage to slow drivers down. Regional transit between Leamington and Windsor will come to an end next spring. Leamington Council voting to hit the brakes on the service after provincial funding dried up. County Council declined to pitch in, and year-over-year ridership showed a decline. Here's CTV's Bob Elachico.
My hopes for any more expansion of regional transit is kind of gone down the drain now.
The LTW Leamington to Windsor transit service is coming to an end next spring. A report from administration says the service is no longer sustainable for the town to operate on its own.
We start in Windsor with 2 different buses and then transfer to the Leamington bus and then go to Leamington and then back from Leamington to Windsor every Thursday.
Brianna Williams won gold at the Special Olympics World Winter Games in Italy earlier this year. The 17-year-old relies on the bus to get to Leamington from Windsor every week to train with her coach.
I train so much with my coach, and I want to see her a lot, so I have to go to Leamington, train with her.
Rob Sharon, Director of Infrastructure Services, says the Ministry of Transportation invested over $600,000 over 5 years through CT funding, or community transit funding, which dried up earlier this year. A pitch was made to County Council to help fund the LTW, which stops in Kingsville and Essex on its way to Windsor. But that was turned down earlier this month.
County Council decided that because it was only servicing 3 out of the 7 communities, that they weren't willing to provide funding for that in 2026.
Sharon says 70% of the riders are from Leamington, 20 from Kingsville, and 10 from Essex.
Unfortunately, we had to look at it and just deemed the service unfeasible for us lower tier municipalities to provide this regional transit service.
So it's a little disheartening to see that our students are going to be disadvantaged again. So if there's something we can do on our end to continue to advocate for those students' needs and issues, we will continue to fight.
Sharon says this type of transit system cannot be run on a shoestring year to year and looking for short-term funding. He notes County Council did approve money to initiate a regional transit study.
I think it's having data that is going to be important, showing the community, saying, hey, like if we had regional transit, this is what it would cost.
Bob Elachico, CTV News.
Detroit voters are about to elect their first new mayor in more than a decade. And given how close we are, the change could have ripple effects here in Windsor. CTV's Travis Fortnum looks into what this means for us.
For the first time in more than a decade, Detroit voters are about to pick a new mayor. Mike Duggan isn't seeking re-election, ending a 12-year run that saw major changes in the Motor City's downtown economy and reputation.
I remember when I first got elected as mayor in 2014, and he came over and we had lunch downtown and just caught up on various issues, and we've always been able to stay in contact since that time.
Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkin says that connection between city halls has always mattered and will keep mattering no matter who's in charge across the river. He says having a direct line to Detroit's leadership can make a difference when cross-border issues arise.
I think it's really important that the mayor of Windsor have a good relationship with the mayor of Detroit and keep those lines of communication open, because you never know when you're going to have an Ambassador Bridge closure for a week.
More recently, having an ally in the D has proven important when talking trade and tariffs.
You can have those conversations across the border, try and influence those voices who are going to be more powerful than mine as a mayor in Canada.
From a business perspective, Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Ryan Donnelly says whoever sits in Detroit's mayor's office will help shape the regional economy that binds the two cities.
One of the best parts about being in Windsor is that access to Detroit. And I've been saying that for decades, because we are brothers and sisters, we're colleagues, we're friends.
He says Detroit's momentum and investment climate have a way of rippling across the river and into Windsor.
A strong Windsor, a strong Detroit, a strong collective regional economy here is very important for us.
For Dilkins, it's less about who wins in Detroit on Tuesday and more about keeping those lines open.
I look forward to welcoming whoever the next mayor of Detroit is. We'll still have a great relationship.
Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
A Windsor veteran's dream of honoring her fellow service members is about to set sail. What started as a personal mission has grown into a powerful community tribute ahead of Remembrance Day. Here's CTV's Chris Campbell.
It started as a personal mission for local veteran Natalie Burgoyne. She wanted to treat her fellow service members to something special, even if it meant paying for it herself.
Well, being a veteran, I kind of see how underappreciated and undersupported veterans are at times. And I thought that this would be a lovely way to be able to show my appreciation.
Now with the help of sponsors and the Windsor Premier Cruise Company, that dream is about to set sail.
I'm humbled. I've always said it takes a village. It's difficult to move a boulder by yourself, but as a community, if everybody lifts a small portion of it, it becomes easier to move mountains.
On November 7th, a Veteran Appreciation Day sale will take veterans and their partners, 170 people in total, out on the Detroit River for an afternoon of food, music, and gratitude.
It's great to see a naval veteran putting us back on the water with our local veterans. I think it's an excellent opportunity to connect with our community.
A number of local sponsors stepped up, helping offset what would have been roughly $3,000 in expenses.
My sailors won't pass up a day on the water, so I'm just happy that we can support in any way we can, making sure that we can connect and learn from our veterans while we still have them as well.
It's another ripple in a wave of community tributes for those who served. New veterans crosswalks recently appearing in Leamington, LaSalle, and Windsor.
It's humbling for me to know that one day I will be that veteran that leaves the uniform, and that we have such a strong community of support down here in Windsor, Essex.
Burgoyne hopes this first cruise becomes a yearly tradition, sailing into Remembrance Week with pride, reflection, and unity. In Windsor, Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Meteorologist Julie Atchison has your Halloween forecast in 2 minutes' time. And the cost of this spooky season. Still ahead, a new poll on how enthusiastic are Canadians when spending money this Halloween.
5K a day is back on 93.9
Virgin Radio.
Listen to Hannah and Johnny in the morning for your chance to win $5,000
every weekday.
5K a day.
Virgin Radio.
Julie joins us now from the Weather Center for a full look at the forecast, which of course includes Halloween. A lot of people are watching closely, Julie.
Absolutely. And earlier in the week, it looked like we were going to see a bit more in the way of rainfall. But as we head towards trick-or-treat time, we are expecting partly cloudy skies and the temperature at about 9 degrees. So some nice conditions for trick-or-treating. In terms of our forecast through the day tomorrow, we'll see some peaks of sunshine after a wet and rainy day today. 11 degrees are high, 8 degrees are low. Comparing that with what's normal for this time of year, we were close, although the temperature is starting to drop off out there. Overnight, we will see the temperature dip down to about 4 degrees. Now, that means we're expecting some breaks in the cloud cover. So that steady rainfall will come to an end overnight. The probability of showers will drop down to about a 40% chance. And with the clouds breaking up, that allows the temperatures to drop. So earlier in the day, temperatures were expected to be a bit milder than 4 to 5 degrees overnight. Now, this area of low pressure that's been moving through, it's been spinning rainfall back into the lower Great Lakes, staying south of us, but with some gusty winds. Now, the pressure gradient will remain tight tomorrow, and what that means is, yes, once again, we have some windy conditions to contend with through the day. So high pressure, a sliver will build in for tomorrow, and that will start to break up the cloud cover as some dry air works into the lower levels. But this time of year, we're fighting that flux off the lake as well. So we have that moisture, and that generates a bit of cloud cover. So as we head through the afternoon, that cool flow over Lake Michigan will bring a bit of cloud cover towards Essex County, and there will be a few spotty showers in and around Michigan through the late afternoon. So we're not going to rule out a shower, and that's why I've left a slight probability in, but not expecting anything widespread through the day. Our main main rain exits out overnight. 12 degrees by noon, 13 degrees the forecast high, and the winds out of the west 30 with gusts of 50. As we take you through the next 7, a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday and 12 degrees, 13 on Sunday and mainly sunny, a mix on Monday into Tuesday. Daytime highs averaging above normal, so we're going to usher in November with some milder temperatures, some nice conditions across the region. It'll be nice to see some sunshine and temperatures into the mid-teens once again. So next week looks great. Chance for showers will move in as we head into Thursday. So recapping your forecast as we head through the overnight, the rain comes to an end, just a chance for showers. We do have about a 40% chance we could squeak out a shower through the day tomorrow, but we are expecting big breaks of sunshine. As you head out in the evening, the wind should start to wind down because the winds will be quite gusty through the day. And then as you head out for your trick-or-treating, the temperature at about 9 degrees. Weekend looks good. We have some sunshine in the forecast. Sunday will be the best day to be outdoors. Stephanie, back to you.
And a reminder, Halloween lovers are asked not to bring old or decorated pumpkins to Point Pelee National Park or any other conservation area. Once Halloween is over, officials say the best place for old pumpkins is in a compost bin or municipal yard waste collection. The park is a protected natural area for rare habitats. And Urca says the concern is if the pumpkin is moldy, it could make some wildlife sick. Any marker or painting on the gourd can also make them ill. However, vets say pumpkins are safe as long as they are cooked. If it's boiled or baked, it is a very good source of fiber. A new poll suggests Canadian enthusiasm for spending money on Halloween this year may be dropping. The poll was conducted on behalf of the Canadian Retail Council. It found 75% of respondents from across the country have at least bought candy for tomorrow night. Only about half bought a pumpkin, though. 30% bought new decorations, and just a quarter of respondents said they purchased a new costume this year. We all know families are struggling to make ends meet and increasingly relying on food banks. The federal government has vowed to tackle the cost of living. Here's CTV's Heather Wright.
In her spare time, Annetta Wozniak bakes cream puffs, tiramisu, beautiful cakes. It's a passion of hers, but also a way to try and make some extra money.
It's a huge challenge to live in downtown Toronto.
Wozniak is one of the millions of Canadians living paycheck to paycheck. She's a single mom and has a job, but is struggling. She uses the food bank where she also volunteers, but fears she may soon be evicted as she struggles to pay rent.
I don't pay fully rent because I don't make enough. My one income, it's not enough for me and my daughter. But I'm doing my best.
With the Carney government set to unveil its first budget next week, people like Wozniak will be watching for anything that might make their lives more affordable. The Liberals have already announced plans to make the National School Food Program, which provides meals to 400,000 children, permanent. Ottawa will also start automatic benefits for the 2026 tax year that will ensure 5.5 million low-income Canadians receive eligible tax breaks, including the GST HST credit, the Canada Child Benefit, and the Canada Disability Benefit. There could also be tax breaks to help those working in skilled trades and personal support workers. But financial experts caution it's unlikely the federal budget will include anything that will make an immediate impact on affordability.
I can't imagine anything in the budget that is going to be even targeted specifically for you that's going to be material enough to take you from being in a situation of financial despair to one of financial success overnight. That's just an unrealistic expectation.
While the government is expected to increase spending in certain areas, the Prime Minister has also warned of sacrifices that will have to be made during this time of economic uncertainty. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Canada's main stock index saw a small bump helped by gains in the basic materials sector. The TSX was up 34 points. The Dow lost 109. The Nasdaq dropped over 370. The loonie fell over a third of a cent. Gold rose over $15 an ounce. Oil was up 9 cents a barrel. He is a prince no more. In an extraordinary move by Buckingham Palace, King Charles announced he will remove his brother Andrew's royal title. as he faces mounting pressure over the ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The palace today acknowledging the pain of the victims. CTV's Joy Malbin on the man who will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
No longer a prince, effective immediately. In a stunning palace statement, Andrew was formally stripped of his royal style, titles and honors.
I am pretty astonished, I have to say. This is the strongest action against a member of the royal family.
King Charles making the painful decision to exile his younger brother, evicting him from his royal residence, a 30-room mansion where he reportedly lived rent-free. Ex-wife Sarah Ferguson also has to move out.
He's now going to move to the Sandringham estate. That's a private estate that's owned by the King in Norfolk, and that's going to be funded by the King also.
British headlines are brutal. The royals facing growing public pressure over Andrew's ties to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. He even hosted them at Windsor's royal mansion in 2006 after an arrest warrant had been issued for Epstein. Then there's Virginia Giuffre's new posthumous memoir, renewing claims she was sexually assaulted by Andrew as a teenager, a claim Andrew denied in that infamous BBC interview.
Categorically, I don't remember meeting her at all.
Despite continued denials, the palace says the censures against Andrew were necessary. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of abuse.
This is far from over. We're still getting that steady drip, drip, drip from the Epstein files.
Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, will keep their titles. Critics say Andrew's shocking lack of judgment left King Charles no choice. Under intense public and political scrutiny, the former prince now the biggest name to fall in the Epstein scandal. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
Next month, many retired Canadians start packing their suitcases to head for Florida, Arizona, and other sunny U.S. destinations. But a new survey shows a massive drop in snowbirds planning to cross the border, choosing other vacation hotspots instead.
More Canadians are turning their backs on travel to the U.S., deciding to either stay home or choose sunny destinations somewhere else. A survey by the Travel Health Insurance Association of Canada found that only 26% are likely to go to the U.S. That's a 37% drop from last year. The survey found of those 61 years of age and older, only 10% are likely to go to the U.S. That's a 66% drop from the year before.
We've certainly seen a move by some to get away from maybe ownership or long-term rentals in the U.S. in favor of other southern climates.
The survey found Canadians are concerned about rising travel costs, political tensions, exchange rates, and safety. The shift comes at a time when the U.S. is introducing new entry requirements, which mean Canadians staying for longer than 30 days need to register and provide their fingerprints, be photographed, and pay a $30 fee.
Having your photo taken and your fingerprints done feels really weird and wrong to us, but the reality is many countries all over the world have already been doing this for the last decade.
Travel expert Barry Choi says while travel to the U.S. is down, he believes many families will continue to go to U.S. attractions, but keep a lower profile and not post on social media. He says snowbirds that own property in the U.S. will also find it hard to stay away.
If someone's a snowbird and they own a vacation home in Florida or Arizona, of course they're going to go.
Canadians avoiding the States are also planning to spend winter months in Europe, including Portugal and Spain. Trips to Mexico and the Caribbean will also depend on the weather and the cost of travel. If American destinations cut prices, it may be enough for some to reconsider a U.S. trip.
If some of the U.S. destinations start to go on sale, maybe that easy trip over the border still prevails.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Author K.G. Michelli is shining a light on Windsor's oldest neighborhood in her new book, Tales of Sandwich Town, exploring the haunted history of landmarks like the Windsor Jail, Mackenzie House, and Duff Bobby House.
There's one lady who had actually experienced, she saw this creature in St. John's Cemetery, and she explained it to kind of look like a gargoyle, but I guess it was sort of a myth at the time that she was told by a groundskeeper that there was like a bull, quote unquote, that kind of lurked around the cemetery at night, scaring people away, and that it would follow you. And there was someone who actually claimed to have seen this creature in the cemetery itself. That one kind of caught me off guard.
This is one of 23 stories of paranormal activity Michelli details in her book. She says the spark to write came from her own experience on Texas Road in Amherstburg, which led her to write Tales of Texas Road. Michelli is also a co-director and co-producer of a new television series featuring 6 different stories from Tales of Texas Road. She says the series is scheduled to air on Bell 5 in March of 2026. Julie joining us one last time for a final look at the weather tonight. Julie.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. As you get ready to make your trick-or-treat plans heading into tomorrow evening, skies are expected to be partly cloudy and just a very low probability of a shower. We do have some cool air trying to work its way in through the upper levels, and that could generate a scattered shower at the surface as the cool air comes over the lakes. Now, in terms of our daytime highs, 13 degrees, 12 degrees on Saturday under a nice mix of sun and cloud. Mainly sunny on Sunday, a nice looking weekend, a mix of sun and cloud Monday into Tuesday, and mainly cloudy on Wednesday. We're heading into November. Beautiful conditions for this time of year with some sunshine in the forecast, and temperatures over the next 7 will average above normal. Stephanie, that's a wrap tonight. I'll send things back to you.
With movie adaptations having a strong showing at the box office, another major media franchise is making the jump to the big screen. Warner Brothers says a Hello Kitty movie is on the way in 2028. The cartoon feline was introduced by Japanese company Sanrio more than 50 years ago. Since then, the character has become a common sight on toys, clothing, and accessories, and thousands of other products. There's been no word on the plot, but Variety reports the Hello Kitty movie will be directed by Zootopia animator Leo Matsuda with a script from Wicked writer Dana Fox.
You can't resist this.
Who could?
You know who could.
And speaking of Wicked, we're getting an early sense of the excitement for the musical movie sequel. The original Broadway show was split into 2 segments. Across North America, last year's Part 1 brought in more than $112 million U.S. in the opening frame. Deadline reports Wicked for Good is set to copy that performance. It's forecast to have sales of $112 to $115 million on opening weekend. Its debut on November 21st. That's your news for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.